Samson Waters began over 10 years ago now. Rick and Christine found that there wasn't a lot of trust and it wasn't very easy to book a vacation back then. There was a lot of hoops to jump through. He wanted to fix that. So we're in the Riviera Maya. That's where it started. And then we expanded to the Yucatan. We went to Puerto Vallarta, Los Cabos, and then Riviera Nayarit. In Mexico, 80 employees. In Canada, 4 employees. I joined the company 2 years ago. I was a high school teacher. So I essentially learned the business from the ground up. And after a year, I had decided that I did want to open my own branch on Silver Star. That is the current project that I am managing, and we're looking to expand from there. The goals for 2025 is to continue growing. Of course, we want to keep focusing on our guest experience, a balance between trying to always acquire new properties, but also trying to make sure that our service quality is always at the top of its game, scale at a pace where it's comfortable, and also where we're able to provide the best service possible. The reason I ended up choosing Enso Connect for our communication software is because when you have a company our size, where in Mexico it's around 250 properties, it's very important that every single detail in our communication software is perfect. Because if it's not dialed in, then those small mistakes are going to go missing. Guests are going to get frustrated. So that was super important for us, is to prioritize exactly that. And we saw Enso Connect as the best solution for it. Just after researching the company and doing a few calls with your team, I had the bug to sign up with you guys right away. Everyone in the company is super happy about it. The very first call that they all had with Enso Connect, we got off the call and they were like, wow, this is an amazing solution. At the same time that we were looking for a communication provider, we were also looking for a way to amalgamate all of our upsells into one central area so that it's easy for our guests to make those purchases. And Enso happened to be like a perfect solution for both of those things together, which is why we ended up going with Enso. Essentially, we had the problem of communication, and then we also had the problem of making sure that our guests knew about all of the possible upsells that we had for them. And with Enso, as soon as a guest signs on to their boarding pass, they're able to see all of the options directly in front of them right there. You can put in conditions in Enso to say, only show these to this guest, only show these to this guest. So it's already built for us. We don't have to manually go and send these things now. And the automation for the messaging, it also helps upsell this without us having to lift a finger. With Enso, we increased our upsells by 61%. This is things like early check-ins, late checkouts, transportation, private chef, those types of things. We found that if you're not using something that's integrated in your system, there's a lot of friction because the guest has to go out of their way to click that link. They have to go out of their way to fill in their information again. But if it's integrated in your system like Enso does, they don't need to submit their guest information when they're doing this, right? Enso already knows who they are. All they have to do is select the thing they want, pay for it. It's done. That's been a big game changer for us, is to remove friction from trying to upsell to our guests. I would say that's probably the main value proposition that Enso provides vacation rental companies, is just removing all of that friction in order for the guests to be able to go from A to Z, trying to purchase those upsells without any issues. After we implemented Enso, we noticed a significant increase in satisfaction. The percentage of guests that have a hard time checking in has significantly gone down since using Enso Connect, meaning it's a lot easier to check in, the guest experience is better, and it's a lot more seamless now. Before using Enso, we would have to manually try to screen guests. For example, we know that there's a lot of fraud with last-minute bookings on certain platforms. So for those specifically, we would require an ID and make sure that that ID matches the credit card name. But other than that, we didn't really have much of a way to track those types of things. And so that's been another huge win for us, is that we're now able to make our guests sign an agreement before they're able to get their check-in instructions, as well as submit a picture of their ID so we can make sure they're a real person, and we make sure that they're up to our standard in terms of the actual security of the reservation. One thing that I really appreciate about Enso Connect is as soon as they click on a conversation, they have all of the information that they need about this guest. So if someone is talking about an issue that they're having with a certain guest, for example, they can open the conversation, read the summary on the right side where they don't have to scroll through the whole thing to have context. You know, they have the property information, reservation information, everything is visible super fast. So it really has helped our team stay on the same page when it comes to disputes, those types of claims. AI generated messages also help us save time when it comes to long-winded automated messages. If the answer is fairly simple, the AI is always going to be able to answer that for us. And so relying on those tools has really helped when it comes to using Enso's messaging tools. The boarding pass feature has helped answer a lot of check-in, check-out questions on its own. I would say a good 20%, 30% of our messages were related to check-in, check-out, questions on arriving, questions on, their early check-in, late check-out, those types of things. That has been reduced very significantly since using Enso Connect, because the guests can just click the link that we've already sent them and they already have all of their information available for them. It's lowered the workload on our team in a lot of different ways, for sure. I'm sure our response times have gone down since using it too. A few other features that I find super helpful with Enso is guidebooks, giving us the ability now to personalize the guidebooks, to have buttons, to have certain pieces of information for our guests to see. One of the things we do is we offer our guests a discount pass, meaning any guest that stays with us, they get discounts to restaurants, bars, spas, different services in the areas that we operate. And Enso gives us the ability through the guidebook to easily link to that discount pass for our guests. So this is one of the things that we're super passionate about, because we've partnered with local companies to provide the best experience for our guests as possible. And the guidebook feature allows our guests to easily navigate to our discount pass. In one click, they can have discounts to a bunch of different places that we've partnered with. That has helped a ton. And also the guidebooks are super useful for building specific rules like parking instructions, your general information like quiet time and those types of things. You can have all of that in one guidebook. And if you want, you can just send an automated message to the guest to remind them of it during their stay or before their stay, so that you guys make it really easy to embody all of this information in one area and to have it displayed to the guests very easily. Another thing we did in our guidebook section is we added an events list where our guests can view, like our guests can click on this guidebook and see all of the events that are happening in the area while they're staying with us. Cool way for us to engage with our guests and make sure that they have all the information possible. Another really cool thing I like about Enso is the new features that they're constantly releasing. The newest ones being the transportation upsell and the experiences upsell. So these are things that literally you don't have to lift a finger for. You just click a button and it turns on for our account. It puts in front of each guest a potential upsell that they would be interested in. I really like the fact that they display this as soon as the guest is verifying, because you see it with airlines too. As soon as you buy your flight, they're going to offer you a rental car right away. Like it's the next thing that you see on the page, right? So I like that they're implementing this feature for all of our guests and all of our rentals. One other feature that I thought was super cool about Enso is the conditions under which you can send a message. Enso will give us the ability to send a certain message depending on the satisfaction level of our guest. So if our guest is a 5 out of 5 satisfied with their stay so far, that message can send out. However, if they had a small hiccup, or maybe they're at a 3 out of 5 and we don't want to bother them with an extra message, maybe trying to upsell a certain thing, Enso can give us the possibility to not send that automated message because the guest is not 100% satisfied with their stay so far. So that has been a really cool thing that we're utilizing, and I'm a big fan of those types of upgrades. Their support team is always super active. They're always super responsive. Really appreciated. That you don't realize how much time you're spending on the minute task when it comes to guest communication until you use a proper software that specializes in that. You don't realize how much time you're spending on it because you've been doing it for so long that it's almost just normal for you to spend that much time on guest communication. But it wasn't until we started using Enso that we realized how much time we're actually saving. A lot of the things that we used to have to manually answer are now just taken care of because those questions don't come to us anymore. The upsells are selling themselves. The guests are able to check in without us having to really give them any instructions. Everything in terms of the guest experience is taken care of. You don't need to be doing as much as what you're currently doing. I would definitely 100% recommend Enso Connect to anyone that's in the industry.